Welcome to Rhythms of the Culture. It's a special Christmas edition, and we have a special guest, Msgr. William John Lewis of the Catholic Church. He is director of the Pastoral Center, among his many other duties, very much involved in the Catholic radio station as well here in Dominica. So we'll be back in just a short while to talk to Msgr. John Lewis. We'll take a short break. Back in a moment. The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tassia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Now, Owen, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of island and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
Welcome again to this special Christmas edition of Rhythms of the Culture. We have with us our very distinguished Dominican son of the soil as well, Msgr. William John Lewis, director of the Pastoral Center and very much involved in the Catholic radio station, apart from all your other priestly duties. Msgr., welcome to
Thank you very much.
Culture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence.
It's certainly an honor and a privilege to have you here with us on this program. But tell us about, in general, I mentioned some of them, your work, what your work involves now.
At the Pastoral Center, well, as you know and as you said, I'm the director of our Diocesan Pastoral Center, and with me is our co-director, Sister Lorraine Royer. And together, I think our basic mandate is adult faith formation. What does that mean? It means that we provide courses for the formation of the adults. One of our basic groups is the lay associates in pastoral care. Now, these are the people, men and women, who are trained to assist their pastors, their priests, in the performance of their duties, especially in terms of the Sunday Mass, where there's no Mass available. That person is trained to keep a Sunday service, and also to help with funerals. So we do that training initially, and of course we hope that the priests continue the training. And we also then provide other courses on scripture, on theology, the documents of the Catholic Church and so forth, to those people and also to anyone else who is interested. So for example, one of the courses we did last year was on the Gospel of St. Luke, and it was called Jesus, Culture and Politics, something like that. Very interesting, and a lot of people came to that. Mm-hmm. Some of them were lay associates, some of them were not. But in addition to our work as formators, we're also in charge of the implementation plan of the Diocesan Synod that we had a few years ago. So it's the plan is a 9-year plan in 3 years. So the first 3 years was on evangelization, and this present 3 years is on liturgy, worship. So we're busy with that as well. And we offer training courses for people who are involved in liturgy and so forth. And in addition to that, we also do, during the Lenten time, the children from our Catholic schools come for a day retreat. So St. Mary's Academy, Convent High School, St. Martin's School, and even sometimes SMP and the St. Luke's School in Point Michel. These children come 2 or 3 classes at a time, and we provide them with a time for quiet, a time for reflection, and a time to learn something new about their faith. Mm-hmm. So that really keeps us going.
You're going,
you know.
I know you're
Yes.
involved in training as well, especially in liturgy.
Yes. Yes.
For lectors,
Right.
Eucharistic ministers.
Right. What I didn't say is that sometimes the parishes invite us to come out to do training in the parish. So let us say, for example, the parish of St. Louis and St. John, Portsmouth, would say, Father and sister, can you come to the workshop for us on a particular theme? And we go. So that also takes us out and to the various parishes.
Yes,
So-
and in addition to that, you are and have been very much involved in the Catholic radio station from inception.
From the very beginning, I had been doing a 3-month sabbatical in Rome, and His Lordship asked me that when I returned, if I would take on the radio station. So we started then and there, and it's been going for the last 5 years. I'm the director, so I sort of make sure that all the programming is on cue, as we say, and the material that is given there is also Catholic and instructional and also entertaining. So I work very closely with Miss Nazarene Gordon, who is our manager, but basically I'm the one responsible. I'm called the Vicar for Communications in the diocese, because also the other part of it is in print. We have our monthly magazine that we put out, our Catholic Community, and I'm sort of directly responsible to oversee the whole production of that as well. So radio, print, and of course I work at the Pastoral Center.
Yes, in addition to doing masses and so in various
Well, yes. Well, on weekends I normally would help. Exactly. On weekends I normally would help one of the parishes. You know, up till September I was helping in the parish of St. Patrick, Grand Bay, and then when the parish priest of Salisbury, who was Nigerian, returned home, His Lordship asked me if I would take on Salisbury and Quilbistry. So for the last 2 months, that's where I've been on Sundays, you know, so that, and it's interesting. I mean, it takes me out of town, takes me within the parish context also, and gives me a chance to do what I normally do as a priest, to preach and to say Mass and to try to share my faith with the faithful people of God, you know.
Yes. And in the modern term, multitasking, I guess
well,
that's what you're doing.
This is it, you know. And it keeps me going. I rather enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
Recently, after Mass, one of the people from Salisbury, I think, says, Father, you enjoy what you're doing, eh? I said, well, I do. He says, is it that obvious? He said, oh, yes, Father, we can see you're really enjoying it. I said, well, thank God, you know, because, you know, you could have met people who don't really enjoy what they do, and they sort of just go through the motions. And thank God that it's obvious enough that I do enjoy what I do, whether it's teaching a class, whether it's celebrating the Eucharist, whether it's singing a song, whether it's taking part in a concert, whatever it may be, you know. I really believe that. I think the Christian should be a person of joy. You know, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, says, you know, it's too bad that so many Christians look as if they're always coming from a funeral. Sad. Or that they think their lives are like Lent without Easter. That cannot be, you know, that somehow, if we really believe that Christ has come, and that's why we're celebrating at Christmas time, Christ has come, He has spent His whole life teaching, performing miracles, He gave His life for us, He died on the cross for us to save us, and that indeed that we have, there should be joy. And yes, there should be joy. You know, so that somehow, even when we go through our difficulties and our bad days, behind all that should be that Jesus is Lord, and He's in control of my life.
That's right.
You know, and that somehow, you know, I live because He lives, and because He lives, I can face tomorrow, as we say. You know,
that's right.
Yeah, all these things.
And now we are into the beautiful Christmas season here in Dominica, not just Dominica, but the world over. And it's such an important time, especially for Christians, especially for Catholics. And as a priest yourself, what does Christmas, the meaning of Christmas, hold for you and for Catholics and Christians?
Well, for me, Christmas is one of the more beautiful times of the year. I'll start with Advent, because as Catholics, we believe that the preparation for the feast is really what makes the enjoyment of the feast possible. In that sense that if you don't prepare, then it doesn't come off as good as it should. But if you prepare well, then of course it comes out as it should. And we say Advent is a time of waiting, a time of joyful expectation. And Advent has two phases. The first phase is up till the 16th of December, And from the 17th of December to the 23rd is the second phase. And the first phase basically is preparing for the second coming of Christ. Now, a lot of people miss that, you know. They think Advent is preparing for Christmas. It is. But for those first 2 weeks, up to the 16th of December, what the church is saying is Christ is coming again. That he did come 2,000 years ago in history. He is present with the church in mystery, and he will come again in glory. And we look forward to that. And of course, as the weeks progress, then you come to the 17th of December, where the theme changes to looking now forward to celebrating his first coming, which is 2,000 years ago in history, in Bethlehem, born of the Virgin. So we look now forward to celebrating Christmas, to remembering the great moment when God became human so that the human being can share his divinity. We call that the incarnation, you know. So the Christmas story is told again. And from the 17th to the 23rd, we have what is called the O antiphons. We have these beautiful Old Testament titles now being attributed to Christ. So the first one is O wisdom. And the second one is O Adonai. Adonai is the ancient name of the God of Israel. And then you go into O Radix Yesse. Radix Yesse is the root of Yesse, or of Jesse. Out of that stem of Jesse will shoot a shoot shall spring from the stump of Jesse. And then you come to the key of David. And then you come to O dawn, the rising dawn that rises upon, that shatters the darkness of our lives. And the King of all nations. And the last one is Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel. And that beautiful hymn that we sing, that is, for me, so typical of Advent. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. That is so typical for me of the Advent season, pointing to Emmanuel, because that is the name that the angel gave to the child even before he was born. He will conceive and bear a son, and they will call him Emmanuel.
Emmanuel,
which
yes.
means God is with us. And the other name, of course, is Jesus. He comes to save his people. So for me, that is what embodies the whole time of Christmas. The Advent season leading up to the day itself. And then we have the Christmas season, where we celebrate the feast, for example, of the Holy Family. Then we celebrate the feast of the Epiphany. The Epiphany is when the Magi, the wise men, came to offer their gifts. The story as it's told in the Bible, you know. They went to Herod and said, we saw the star rising, where is he? And Herod consults and he says, well, go, and when you find him, come and tell me so I can go to worship. Of course, he had other plans. His plan was to kill the baby. So the Magi, that's Epiphany. And then we go on to the baptism of the Lord. And that concludes the Christmas season. But in between also, you have a great feast which is called the Feast of Mary, Mother of God, on the 1st of January. So this year, being Christmas being on a Sunday, the following Sunday is the 1st of January, and that's the Feast of Mary, Mother of God. Yes.
And Christmas, too, has been described as the greatest gift that God has given us. He sent his Son, you know, to save the world. And what a beautiful time of year, as you mentioned, for Christians, for Catholics, the world over. We're talking to Msgr William John Wiss. He's the director of the Pastoral Center, also director of the Catholic radio station here in Dominica. We're taking a short break and come back to continue our conversation with Msgr John Wiss all about Christmas. Back in a moment. First edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tasia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Now, Orrin, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of islands and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
Welcome back to Rhythms of the Culture. We're talking to Msgr William John Lewis, who is Director of the Pastoral Center. Msgr John Lewis, in terms of Christmas and celebration, especially in Dominica, have we lost some of that real meaning and significance of Christmas? And if so, how do you think we can maybe restore some of that kind of celebration and observation?
I would say not only here, but really throughout the world. You see, we live in a very materialistic culture worldwide, very consumerist society. And whenever these great feasts come up, what happens to people is that they think they have to shop, they have to buy this and buy that. Mind you, Christmas traditionally is a time for giving gifts.
Sharing,
so there's a certain sense that's part of the Christmas season. But I think people have lost the sense of why they would share gifts and exchange gifts at that time. It just becomes to buy things sometimes things they don't even need. And growing up, midnight mass was what Christmas meant. Everything stopped for midnight mass. I grew up in Scots Head, for example. We'd make sure that we'd get ready and we'd walk to Soufriere for the midnight mass and come back. And then after that, there'd be a nice dinner. If somebody killed a pig, you'd eat and drink, and friends would come around and so forth. And for us, that was Christmas, but the mass was Christmas. That was very important. I think people have lost that sense. We in Dominica, we like a party. We see war from morning, we can see war from Friday to Friday, and that has taken over. Mind you, I enjoy music too. I enjoy celebration as well. But I think it's overdone to the point where the important things are forgotten. So people will go, for example, Christmas Eve is to go to a party. Mass is not in it at all. Or if they come to Mass at all, and of course they're so tired from the next day, they will not go to Mass on the day. So what we've noticed is the more of the party culture has come in and the religious aspect has dwindled. Mind you, there are still a number of people who do come to church. For that, we're very pleased. But the large majority don't see it as a religious feast. They see it as a celebration of dance and music and drink rather than a day to pray and to reflect on what Christmas really means, as you well said, the great mystery of the incarnation, when God becomes human, taking on our divinity, sharing our divinity so that we can share his divinity. I mean, I think that is mind-boggling when you think of it.
So in light of the fact that maybe we are losing a little bit of the significance and meaning, what advice would you give in terms of restoring maybe some of the genuine observations and celebrations of the Christmas
Well, I
season?
think if we say we are a Christian nation, as we do, I mean, even in our own motto, we say, Apui Bondi Selate, we put Bondi first. I'm always, and in our national anthem, people full of godly, reverent fear. I think you have to go back to that and let that become not only words, but a reality. That parents have to learn again to be themselves that and teach their children. So that you say to the children, listen, Christmas is a time of gift giving. Why? Because Christ is the best gift we've received, and therefore out of that we now in turn show that same love to one another. And so we bring our gifts to each other. The Magi came to bring gifts to the Christ child. What will you bring to the Christ child? And you want to give your love, you want to give your attention, you want to give all the moments of your life because he gave you so much. I think that's where we have to begin, that the faith has to be strengthened. People have to think again and say, what am I doing all this for? There's a little note that I got from somebody says, Jesus is the reason for the season, something like that. That we've forgotten what the season is all about, Put Jesus back in Christmas. A lot of people, they send you a card that is Xmas. And he said, I don't want X, I want Christ.
Right.
Christmas. Yes, put
Christmas,
Christ back
yes.
there, you know. A lot of nations, they say happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas. I want to hear Merry Christmas. Let that be a Christian feast. And by that, what I'm saying, I'm not saying Catholic, a Christian feast that all Christians can say, we're proud of this. And all the symbols we use, the tree, the lights, all of that should speak about what it really stands for. Lights, because Christ is the light of the world.
Yes.
He comes to shatter the darkness of the world and the light and our lives. So we put lights all around us because it's a feast of lights.
Yes.
The light has come. But it has to come in reality as well. If it has come, it has to shatter the darkness of my life. If I have met him, I cannot live the same old way anymore. I have to change.
So celebration, but in the context of the true meaning
Yes.
and significance
Exactly.
of the Christmas and what it actually means.
Put Christ back in the middle of it.
In Christmas, yes. Of course, Father, people know you too as a singing priest among all your other talents. You play guitar very well as well. And you sang for us earlier on the program, but also we'd like you to do a song for us. And we're going to take a short break, but we're going to come back. As soon as we come back, we're going to ask Msgr to do a Christmas song for us. So let's take a short break and come back in a moment. The first edition of Rhythms of the Culture. In this very new television program, we'll be highlighting various expressions and aspects of Dominica's culture. Tassia, let's start off with you giving us a bit of your background for persons who don't really know you like that well. Where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school. So, Ophelia, you've performed in just so many places all over. What are some of the performances that stand out in your mind as probably the more memorable?
Now, Owen, you traveled with the People's Action Theatre through the Caribbean. You mentioned a couple of islands and Caribbean countries that you traveled to.
Welcome back to Rhythms of the Culture. Of course, this is a special Christmas edition of the program. We have Msgr John Lewis here with us, and he's about to do a beautiful Christmas song for us. So, Msgr, could you share with us?
With pleasure.
That
I'll
one?
sing O Come All Ye Faithful. O come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exultation. Sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God in the highest. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him.
Oh, come, let us adore Him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet Thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to Thee be glory given. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing, oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him, Christ the Lord.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Monsignor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. And I want to take the opportunity to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Christ-filled and joy-filled as well.
Thank you very much, Monsignor. You have a wonderful Christmas yourself.
Thank you.
A wonderful New Year, and we also wish our viewers an absolutely wonderful, peaceful and blessed Christmas and a productive and prosperous New Year. Thank you for joining us on Rhythms of the Culture, inviting you to join me again next time for another edition of Rhythms of the Culture. I'm Raymond Lawrence, wishing you all the best. See you next time. Thank you.